Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Jay and welcome to the Shiplife. So for today's news, a crew member has passed away while working on board an MSC ship. We'll go over the details that are available so far in today's video. Due to confirmed COVID cases recently discovered on board the Ruby Princess, passengers currently sailing on the Ruby Princess must now wear masks indoors while on board during their cruise. Also, we have another update on the P&O Ferry situation, as one of the ferries has been detained over in Ireland due to the workers on board potentially not being trained properly and the ship just simply being unfit to sail. Let's go. So we're going to go ahead and get straight into our top story for today's video. However, I must let all of you know this story is extremely tragic and sad. So we had a woman on board the MSC Orchestra on March 24th that unfortunately passed away due to a severe injury. Now, the cause of death is undetermined. However, in a little bit, I will tell you what I've heard so far from the grapevine. As a former crew member, of course, I have ears on the ground. I have been on the MSC Meraviglia. I have friends that work on board that ship and other MSC ships as well. But anyway, there isn't too much with this story. All we know is, again, this is the MSC Orchestra. It is currently operating 3 to 4 night sailings out of Durban, South Africa. We know the woman is also a South African woman, and she worked in the mess on board the ship. The mess is the dining area for the crew members on board any particular ship. Now, again, we don't know exactly what happened. We know it was her first contract. And I will say that when it comes to somebody's first contract on board a cruise ship, there is a lot going on, a lot of things to learn, and a lot of things that you have to kind of adapt to as far as being on a ship versus being at home. Now, I am saying this for multiple reasons. For starters, a lot of you out there that are passengers, you don't understand what it's like to leave your family for maybe 6 months to 9 months, maybe even a year if you get a contract extension, and have to go deal with elements outside of the world that you know. And you go to a place where there's a bunch of foreign people that are from different countries. And like I said, just a big learning curve. And I can't imagine this woman being away from her friends and families. By the way, my condolences do go out to them as well, because this is extremely tragic. And when you have things like PA systems and alarms that are going off, and there was an alarm for this woman, I believe it's probably like a code alpha. This is at least what we have for American standards. In the event there's actually a medical emergency on board, unfortunately they couldn't get to the woman in time. Now, of course, there are going to be naturally a lot of rumors and speculation circulating about what happened potentially to this woman. They say she worked in the mess, meaning she could have worked in the kitchen somewhere. Maybe it was an injury with maybe a sharp utensil like a knife or something like that. However, I did reach out to some friends of mine on the MSC Meraviglia, and of course, I'm a part of a lot of former crew member forums on places like Facebook and Reddit, and there are multiple sources that are saying that this woman was, let's make it kind of graphic for some of you, crushed potentially by the watertight doors, the WTD. You guys don't know what a watertight door is. Essentially on the lower decks on board a cruise ship or any particular cruise ship. You might have seen this if you've seen the Titanic. Basically, these doors prevent additional flooding on the upper decks in the event there is like a compromise or a puncture on the hull of the ship or on the bottom of the ship. Now, when I worked on board the NCL Escape in the Carnival Fantasy, I didn't have to really deal with these doors much because my room was up on deck 7, or the upper higher decks for the crew members' staterooms. And, you know, I never really went down to the bottom decks because I'll be honest with you, those doors used to scare the living crap out of me, because they would tell you during your safety trainings, again, when your first contract, a lot of things you got to know is that they tell you to stay clear of those doors because there could be a potential technical malfunction and they could open or close at literally any point in time, regardless if there is potential flooding or anything of that nature. So again, I can't confirm that this is happening and I don't want to speak on it as speculation. This is just what I'm hearing. I'm letting all of you know, and just trying to give you guys a little bit of information as far as what goes on the back end as far as working on cruise ships. But once again, guys, we're gonna leave it right here. My condolences do go out to the friends, family, and loved ones of this woman that has passed away. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Next up, we have an interesting update from Princess Cruise Lines. So there is a passenger that's currently sailing on the Ruby Princess right now out of San Francisco. They reached out to me yesterday via email to inform me that there had been an announcement made on the Ruby Princess by the captain Aldo Transverso. I believe that's how you say his name. I hope I'm not butchering it. But anyway, the captain came out and said that there is a number of positive COVID cases on board. We don't know if it's Omicron or maybe OG COVID, but either way, The captain came out and stated that all the cases were either asymptomatic or at the very most mild cases, and all the positive cases, along with the close contacts of those people that tested positive, have now been isolated and everything was under control. However, along with the announcement came a letter stating that every passenger must wear a KN95 mask while indoors for potentially the remainder of the cruise. Now, there are a couple things that pop into my head when I hear this. However, I do want to point out that finally, whenever there is a mandatory mask rule or policy that is implemented, they're telling people to actually wear the right mask. I just think it's kind of strange at this point in time where it has been publicly put out there that the cloth masks simply don't really do much other than be a facial decoration, that a lot of places that are implementing masking policies, which I don't think there's anything wrong with. Everybody's going to do what they want with their own business, but either way, it's nice to see somebody's actually telling people to wear the right mask with the right filters and everything else. But either way, you do also have to wonder, just looking at this specific situation, if everything is contained and the situation under control, how many people have actually tested positive on this ship? And is it a situation where people should either be worried about, or is it just preventative measures, which is probably the most likely scenario? Let's go ahead and be fair with Princess. After all, when you look at Princess, we have the Diamond Princess that essentially was the catalyst for all the media outrage and a lot of people blaming Princess Cruises for starting the cruise industry shutdown. And when you look at the Ruby Princess in particular, if you go back to March 19th, early on in the pandemic, they had a situation over in Australia where there were hundreds of people that tested positive, and it became this giant mess. It was horrible. It was really, really bad. I was trying to think of something creative to say there, but I had nothing. But either way, guys, I am curious about this particular situation. I will continue to communicate with the passenger. Shout out to them, by the way. Thank you for actually sending me that information, and I'll be in touch with you soon. By the way, I forgot, I don't know if this matters to any of you out there, but Princess, since they are providing the mask, which I think is great, they're also going to be giving all the passengers on board $25 onboard credit for having to wear the mask on board. Do you think that's enough? Do you think it was not necessary? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, finally, of course, while you guys are hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel, which you really should subscribe, I got some cool stuff coming up. I got 3 cruises next month. I got a cruise event known as Cruise 360 that I'm going to next week before my cruise, and I got a bunch of cool stuff like free cruises that are coming your way pretty soon. So you should definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell. Anyway, we got an update when it comes to P&O Ferries, not to be confused with P&O Cruises, that is owned by the largest cruising company on planet Earth, the Carnival Corporation. So we have this ship known as the European Causeway. It has been detained, or even arrested depending on how you want to look at it, by the authorities over in Northern Ireland. Now, this is taking place over in Larne, over in Northern Ireland, and essentially what's happened is, just to give you guys a little brief backstory, back on March 17th, the company P&O Ferries essentially fired 800 of their workers without a warning, and it was all done like on a pre-recorded Zoom call, which obviously a lot of people weren't happy about that. Now, what came after this, they were all fired, these P&O Ferries original employees, and fired and replaced with an outsourced group of workers. It is undetermined where they came from. However, it is also believed that they are making anywhere from £2 to £6 per hour, which is below the national average over in the United Kingdom. So the big issue here is that the newly outsourced crew that was hired after March 17th, which, let's be honest, was not that long ago, is not properly trained, deeming the entire ship, the European Causeway, to be unfit. Now, the issue here is that, yes, these crew members, we don't know, again, where they are from. We know they are newly hired. And when it comes to running anything, be it an airline or a cruise line or a ferry company, there is a big risk involved. Should something go wrong, there could potentially be a lot of casualties if the ship has a potential for sinking, if something happens like an accident. And what I believe is, when it comes to anything, again, like ferries or an airline mode of transportation, where it is required for the people to be professionally trained, I believe that it should always look at safety over profits. Call me crazy, but I think that, let's say for an airline, for example, for them to kind of, cut a couple corners or whatever just to make a little bit of money, and it disregards safety, that's when there is a very big issue. So this is where you have the problem with P&O Ferries right now. Again, it was not that long ago that these crew members were hired, so naturally there is going to be some worry. A lot of people don't know. Again, I don't know all the details as far as where these crew members are from. However, the situation just looks a little strange, and it is kind of quick that they're trying to start back up early. Now, keep in mind that P&O Ferries is a big contributor to the freight and as well as the passenger travel over in that area between Ireland and, of course, over in the UK. In fact, P&O Ferries, they carry about 2,000 passengers every single day. You have the European Causeway over in Ireland right now. You also have the other ship, Pride of Hull, that is over in Rotterdam right now, not taking any passengers, not taking any freight. This was a ship where there was the barricade situation with the captain and the crew that lasted for about 6 hours. They're not taking any passengers, and I don't believe their other ferries are either. I believe that over in the UK area, they have found other methods, other ferries to contract and hire until P&O Ferries gets everything together. Either way, guys, it is just a very strange situation. You have the people over there that are calling for all the older workers, the 800 that got fired, to be reinstated, which personally I don't think that's going to happen. I believe it's gone too far, and P&O Ferries has already admitted that they broke the law by just randomly firing everybody, the 800 workers, without warning. And I don't think we're going to go back to the old formula. They're going to cut corners. They're going to cut corners. They're going to go ahead and take the fines and give out the severance packages, and they're going to go on from there. Let's just hope that P&O Ferries figures out a way through all of this. Now, personally, I've never sailed on a P&O ferry before. I've never been on any of those ships, and I go to the UK a lot, but I think I'll have to check them out whenever I go back over to that area. But either way, guys, we are going to leave this video right here. It's all the updates that we have. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yes, we do have one of the stories, extremely tragic, extremely sad, but of course, the cruise news has to go on. On your way out, of course, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you later. Take it easy.